Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second lunch break with the Land Bank. My name is Moses Timlin. I'm a neighborhood strategy coordinator here at the Genesee County Land Bank. I'm so grateful to be speaking today alongside our Director of Sales and Development, Alexandria Riley. We are going to be discussing the sales processes for poor and substandard condition properties. We will go over how to submit a completed application, how properties are designated as in poor or substandard condition, and how to navigate the process with our sales staff. First, I'd like to start with just an agenda for our meeting. I would like to welcome you and go over just some basic general information of what is our mission, who is the Land Bank, and what are some of our accomplishments over the past year. We will then dive into the sales process with Alexandria, and then we will have time for question and answers as it pertains to poor and substandard condition properties. So just providing a little bit of overview, how to contact the Genesee County Land Bank is, first, you can always reach us by phone. Our general number is 810-257-3088, and there will be a directory for you to navigate which department you would like to speak to or which staff member you would like to directly be in contact with. You can go to the Flint Property Portal, and at the top toolbar of the Flint Property Portal, there is a contact information where you can report blight, you can report an issue with an unboarded property, mowing, or submit an inquiry there. Lastly, you can go to the Genesee County Land Bank website, which is thelandbank.org. And as you can see here on the screen, we have a contact section, which can also be found at the top toolbar on the right-hand side. And you can actually fill out a Q ticket, which is asking basic information of why you're contacting us, a brief detailed description of your question or concern, and you will receive a tracking number so that you can actually track the ticket that you logged with us. And lastly, you can come to our offices at 452 South Saginaw in the heart of downtown Flint, and you can find all appropriate applications needed for residential properties, commercial properties, and poor and substandard residential properties. Applications can all be found on the first floor of our lobby. There's also a drop box where if you would like to submit that application in the same stop as picking up the application, you may do so. Okay, so going over who are we as the Land Bank? As an organization to really complete our mission. The first is blight removal. The second is creating pathways to home ownership. And the third is responsible reuse of vacant land in vacant parcels. So looking at the first, just knowing of the history of the Land Bank, we are a quasi-governmental agency formed in 2004 as a response to the tax foreclosure crisis in Genesee County. We receive and manage properties transferred from the Genesee County Treasurer after tax foreclosure. So it takes 3 years of missed property tax payment to the Genesee County Treasurer before properties are then transferred to the Genesee County Land Bank and into our receivership. And we as a land bank function as a community development tool. So we look at how land can help produce residential and commercial opportunities for the betterment of our residents' quality of life. Our mission statement is to restore value to the community by acquiring, developing, and selling vacant and abandoned properties in cooperation with stakeholders who value responsible land ownership. And you're going to hear that theme multiple times through our presentation today. And then I just want to show maps of how our inventory has grown through our inception. So in 2004, we started with 1,080 land parcels in our inventory. The first inflection point is in 2008, just as the housing crisis was going across the country. And in Genesee County, you see our property inventory nearly tripled in that short amount of time. Then in 2012, we have another inflection point with the Great Recession and the market crash. And so we've seen there's this exponential growth of our properties in Genesee County. And then as we go into 2016, we feel those lingering ramifications of those two really critical inflection points in our country's history. And then today, we own 13,382 land parcels in the city of Flint. This is nearly 23% of all land parcels within the city. Our inventory has grown over 1,000%. And again, we receive these properties primarily through the tax foreclosure process. So our land bank inventory in all of Genesee County right now is 15,000. From our inception to date, we had 27,000 properties come through the tax foreclosure process and into our receivership. So about 50% of all land parcels we have owned since our inception have been put into reproductive reuse within the community. So looking at our current land bank inventory, this is all across Genesee County. As you'll see, overwhelmingly 96% of all our land parcels are residential. So that means both vacant land and structures that are intended and zoned for residential use. We have 96% within our inventory. So this is why today's conversation is very critical. And just looking at some key results from the last year, we demolished 317 structures. We sold 192 homes, and we had 211, vacant lots sold to nearby homeowners. So today, when we're talking about poor and substandard condition properties and their sales process, I wanted to give a little bit of background information of how we designate those properties as such. Like, what is our criteria? So beginning with kind of like a low-hanging fruit example, poor condition properties either have missing shingles, cracked shingles, peeling, slight disrepair of roofs, but there's no apparent holes, there's no apparent gaps. Some windows may be broken, and there may begin to see some damage to the foundation. But for the most part, they're not at the level of substandard, which we'll talk briefly. So as we see in this photo as well, we see the shingles are in disrepair. There may be broken windows behind those that are boarded. On the right side, you see a little bit of sagging of the property, so there might be some foundation issues. We're really looking at this from an external assessment. Then when we get to substandard, these become a little bit more clear. And one of the telling signs is that they're already marked with no gas. So that means they've been cut and plugged from both water and gas. And that is typically a sign that the interior is in great disrepair. So we do see holes, we do see sagging, we do see foundation cracks, even from just the observation of the naked eye. We again see when there is no gas, we'll start to see different signs of great disrepair in the roof. And so we're really concerned about the structural soundness of the property. I just want to go over two quick examples of some of our success stories in the recent years. So this is actually in the city of Flint. This is on Court Street. You see the shingles, there's some missing, the roof's in disrepair. But then we see, working with a partner, they had the ability to bring it back online and fully restore it to full occupancy. Similarly, this is in the Out County. This is in Richfield Township. We see that the roof has severe fire damage. This was on our substandard list, so we recommended it for demo, given how great fire damage there was to the roof. We see the roof trusses are gone. We see there's grade damage around the fireplace that needs complete retucking and rebuilding. But we worked with a partner who purchased it from us and rehabbed it and has sold it to a new homeowner. So with all that said, I'm now grateful to pass it over to Alexandria, our Director of Sales and Development here at the Genesee County Land Bank.
Well, thank you, Moses, and thank you for all the great work that you do. You're absolutely amazing to the team here at the Land Bank, and thank you for all of you that are tuning in right now and to our second series of Lunch Break with the Land Bank. So the first series covered the topic of our featured homes program within our sales division, and today we're going to talk about poor and Substandard or demo properties, which is a separate program within the sales division. But I like to say before we get into all the details with respect to that, again, thank you for joining us on behalf of our board director, or our board chair, I should say, Deb Cherry, and the entire Genesee County Land Bank Authority Board of Directors, along with our executive director, Michael Freeman. Thanks for tuning in. So it was important to bring, and Moses was very instrumental in this, and somewhat his brainchild, to bring this information directly to you, because there were a lot of questions and a lot of misinformation or different thoughts on our processes and our procedures. So getting right into it, we have some slides that we're going to go over. And the first of those are our policies. Our policies with respect to poor and demo substandard housing that is within our inventory. And our policies are posted on our website if you go to www.thelandbank.org. So all the information and all the topics that we are covering today and throughout the course of the series of Lunch Break with the Land Bank, that information will be directly, you can go back and you can reference it on our website if you have some additional questions. And as Moses said, we are always available to speak directly with you and provide additional information if you have any concerns or any questions relative to that. So in terms of our policy on selling structures on the Genesee County Land Bank demolition list, we're going to go from demolition, then we'll go to poor. So it's very important, and Moses used the term partners. We see individuals, we see entities that come and purchase properties and provide an interest in those properties and seek to make an investment in those properties. We see them as partners because we want to make sure that these properties are going into the hands of responsible landowners. And we also want to make sure that these properties will be brought back up to code and that they will be able to be used for the intended purpose by which they were initially built. And we want to bring them back into the tax base. So we don't want the cycle of foreclosure to continue. And so with respect to our poor properties and with respect to our substandard and demo properties, it's very important that we go through a process through our sales division to ensure that purchasers have the capacity to be successful based on our mission and based on the outcomes that we seek to have with returning these properties into productive use. And so a part of that effort to ensure that capacity is there, we look at a multitude of factors, and we'll go specifically into that based on our applications. But within our policies, I just want to kind of pull some quick details out. As you can see, I have one page here, and it's a front and it's a back. And so we have 2 pages on the slide, and you can go to our website again and you can look at that. But it references the fact that the land bank has historically and traditionally been careful to sell these properties, because what we've oftentimes found is that if we don't vet a purchaser, if we don't go through the process and make sure that everything is clear and make sure that everything is understood, there's a potential that these properties can go back through the cycle of foreclosure and then they're returned to us in a much not a better state, or a better state of condition of the properties. And due to that reason, we want to make sure that we're being proactive rather than reactive on the other end or the other side of it. So when we sell these properties, we want to make sure that the capacity is there. So our policies detail that. It gives some background as far as certain cases that we've come across throughout the years as far as selling and completing the demolition once a property is sold for the purpose of demolition. So with that said, please check out our policies and our website and our poor and substandard homes and see if any opportunities are available. And so with that being said, and with the restrictions that we have on time, I'm going to jump right into our application process for poor and substandard properties. So we have the blue application, and this is a general application. We get 2 applications in. One is specific to pour and demo. And the other one is relatively general. We oftentimes more so get this one. The only difference in these two applications is on the pour application, we will accept both for our pour and substandard properties. The only difference is one makes reference with respect to the pour and demo properties as a pour and demo property that a land bank employee and a licensed contractor must have shown the property prior to. So it's a 4-step process with these applications and with the full transaction of purchasing a pour or demo property. The first of that process is filling out this application, and it's relatively simple. It's very straightforward. Name of contact, name to be listed on the deed if sold, physical address, city, state, zip, phone number, how do we contact you, email address, how would you like to be contacted? Then it has a section here for the property information. So here you put in the parcel ID, or you put in the common address that's 123 Anywhere Street or 123 Court Street. You put that information there. And then you have the question on this application: would you like to purchase the property to demolish? Applicant will complete demolition. Or would you like the property with the structure? Applicant will bring property up to code. And so within the application, if we move down, proposed property reuse improvements, the description of the planned improvements and the renovation. And so it's really brief because this is on the onset. This is just the application period. Now, also on this application, and whether irrespective of if you turn in this application or this specific application for pour or demo property, it is required, as Moses gave some background, it is required because these properties are considered distressed, and because we want to work with our partners, and because we want to ensure capacity to be successful in this purchase and in the endeavor to either bring up to code or demolish the property, we require, prior to the second step in our transaction process, we require that proof of funds, and this can be via funds in your bank account, this can be a line of credit, this can be a letter of credit as well, or a letter from a relative saying that the funds will be loaned or what have you. So either of those proof of funds are required prior to moving forward in the next step, the second step in the transaction process. So $5,000 proof of funds need to be shown. And so some people say, well, where'd you get this number? How'd you come up with $5,000? Well, $5,000 is typical in terms of what, on average, if you purchase a pour or if you purchase a demo property, you're going to have to invest. When you have the contractor come out and gives you the estimate for repair costs, on average, we see about $5,000. Or if a contractor comes out and says, okay, well, here's the demo estimate, on average, it's above $5,000. So we want to make sure that that capacity is there. So that is the initial requirement to move forward into the second step. So again, this is the application. You can use either of the two. And so once the application is submitted, a member of our sales team will contact you and say, okay, we have your application. Okay, we have your proof of funds. And now that we have that, we'd like to move forward with scheduling a showing. That scheduling of the showing will take place with a land bank employee who will make available the property. And also, you are required as an applicant seeking to purchase this property, you are required to contact on your own a contractor of your choice and have them come with you to the showing. Because when you walk through, they are going to walk through as well, and they are going to draw up an estimate for the cost of the repairs. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. If you are seeking to purchase a poor property, or you're seeking to purchase a substandard or a demo property, and you are seeking to bring it up to code, we are not expecting the contractor to provide a full-scale estimate detailing all of the, I would say, the cosmetic repairs. And I want to make note of that, because what happens is we can have a contractor come in and say it's going to cost $20,000 for us to do the repairs that the purchaser is seeking to make on this property. Now, you got a 20,000 number over here, but in theory, it only cost about $7,000 to bring it up to code, to make sure that it can go through the processes with the city. You pull the adequate permits, that the city comes in and says, okay, we are good. You can be issued a certificate of occupancy and we can move forward. So it's very important that there's a distinction in knowing, because, you know, applicants get excited. We're purchasing a home, we're rehabbing it, and we want it to be beautiful. We want to customize it with all the bells and whistles. Now, that creates somewhat of a challenge, because if you want to invest $20,000 because you want all the glamorous bells and whistles and all the nice fixtures in your house, you're going to deck it out. You have the $20,000 estimate, but you're purchasing the property and it's on the demo substandard list within the land bank's inventory. And so we're willing to sell this property for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So it's a minimum cost, because a minimal cost, I should say, because there is investment required into this property. So you come back to us and you say, well, wait a minute. You told us to purchase the property. You'll sell it to us for $3,000, but then the demo estimate was $20,000, and you expect me to have $23,000 in the bank? No. That's what I plan on doing over time. So that's why it's important to know. And I really kind of want to gauge in and get to the specifics of this, because if it's only, we're going back to that original price, and I think, Moses, correct me if I'm wrong, did I say $7,000, $6,000 to bring it up to code? $6,000 or $7,000 to bring it up to code. And so if you have that plus the purchase price of $3,000, that's a big difference from $23,000 to $8,000 or $9,000. We just want to see capacity that you can bring it up to code, because then you have to provide another proof of funds showing that, okay, I've submitted my application. That's number one. Number two, I've walked through with the contractor. The contractor has given me a detailed estimate. And it's important that the contractor, when they walk through, have a copy of their contractor's license, which is issued by the state of Michigan, their builder's license. They need to have that handy. They should have a card, a small card, a walking card for their license. So if they have that, or if they have the full license or a picture of it, we need that to verify that they are a licensed contractor, a licensed residential builder. So when they're on site, to have that, and also to identify them with that construction company or with that construction license, they need to provide a copy of their ID as well. So those two things are necessary, and those two things are important to move forward to the third step. So we went through the first step with the application, the second step with the showing, and the second step with the contractor being there to provide the estimate. Then thirdly, we have another form that we will send to you after after you've gone through with the contractor, or you can find it on our website or downstairs in the lobby of the land bank. And this is the offer form. So at this point, you include your estimate that your contractor gave you, that your contractor provided to you, along with the offer form. And so the offer form details what you are willing to pay for the property. Now, with our poor and substandard properties, we don't advertise pricing. So we want, again, going back to that word that Moses used, we want to partner with you to create equity. We want to partner with you to return properties to productive use. And so we're aware that it requires an investment. So whatever you offer, now if the offer comes in too low, we will be very honest with you, and we will counter back and say, no, this is what we have in our inventory, or this is what we see. But we want you to provide a fair offer, or provide an offer that you're comfortable with, and then we will review that offer. But that's the third step. And so all the information, the contractor's estimate, the initial application, the offer form, the verification of the actual contractor's license, or the builder's license, or construction company's license. And so then when you submit this offer form, and it goes back to that same example that I used, if you have an estimate and it's $20,000, and you're saying, I want to purchase the property for $3,000, we add those two up. So that's $23,000. Or if you have an estimate and it's $6,000 and a $3,000 purchase price. So you either of those, and I hope I'm being kind of clear in how I'm explaining that, because we're just looking to see that you have the capacity, and we're looking to see that the estimate, and we can, look at these properties as well. We might come back and say, well, this contractor's estimate seems this way. It seems that it's a little high, or it seems that it's a little low, because we know that these are, and we make no assurances, we make no guarantees as to the condition of the property, but we want to know that you have taken the time to do the due diligence, to look at the condition of the property, to walk through the property with a licensed contractor and ensure that you are comfortable with moving forward with the purchase, and not just the purchase, but the project, because it's not going to be a turnkey project. We have our featured homes, which you go through the open house, you put in your offer, you buy. With our POR, with our substandard, with our demo properties, it's an entirely different process, because there is a required investment. I can't stress that enough. There's a required investment to bring that property back up to code. So that's the third process, the third part of that process, to submit the offer form. And we look to see that you have enough based on what you've provided, based on what you've submitted in terms of proof of funds to cover the purchase price and the rehab or the demo. So we kind of focused a lot on the contractor's estimate. So the contractor's estimate can be for rehab, which means you're going in, you're bringing the property up to code, or demolition. Now let's talk about that for a quick second, because I know we're getting tight with time. And so if you are desiring to purchase the property for the purpose of demolition, we require you to provide proof of funds that you can cover the cost based on that estimate of the demolition, or we require you, and that's by means of a personal bond. We will hold it as a personal bond to ensure that you will, in a safe manner and also within a reasonable manner, demolish that property, and you take that on as your own project. Or secondly, we give the option of going through a surety company to get a bond, through a bonding company to get a bond that will cover in the event that you choose to change your mind. We still will move forward with the demolition, or we can do that, because again, our mission is to ensure that properties are being returned to productive use, and that blighted properties are being adequately dealt with to continue to uplift the value of our neighborhoods here. So that's very important, and that's a glimpse of that. And again, I can't emphasize and stress enough, as we're explaining this process, we're doing it within our lunch break. So it's quick, fast, and in a hurry, but it's more, it's a very, very detailed process. But once you get familiar with it, it's an easy process, but it ensures a responsible process. So if you go through step one, you go through step two, you go through step three, there we have it, you get to closing. So your file will be passed on to another representative of the sales department. They will contact you and say, when would you like to come in and close on your property? And then we congratulate you and hand over the keys to you. So again, I'm Alexandria Riley. I am the Director of Sales and Development here at the Genesee County Land Bank Authority. I thank you for watching. I thank you, Moses, for giving me the time to explain all the details of our sales process for POR and substandard and demo housing. If you seek more information, please reference our website, www.thelandbank.org. And again, thank you for tuning in. Moses?
Thank you so much, Alex. I feel like I just got a one-on-one with you to hear about our whole process. And I hope everyone really takes this in. We have so many people reach out about how do I do this? And a lot of people need a lot of hands-on technical assistance. And this is one of the ways we really hope to provide that. And so I felt like you just gave 20 people their own little one-on-one session. So you did a wonderful job. The first question I have, Alex, is can I buy one of these properties, POR and substandard condition, on a land contract?
Poor and substandard on a land contract?
Yes.
No, we do not offer land contracts for poor and substandard. We offer land contracts, as we referenced in the first series of our lunch break with the land bank, for our featured home properties, because we want to make sure that we make land contracts available for home ownership. Oftentimes we have nonprofit organizations, or we have investors, or because of the nature of the investment required, we don't offer land contracts on the poor and demo, but we do on the featured. So if you are interested in a land bank property that may require still some degree of work, or as we said, you want to put in all the bells and whistles and you want to bring it up to your standard, and you want to customize it in your way, you can certainly employ that strategy or that resource as a land contract, and having specifically land bank financing on a property through our featured home program.
Wonderful. This is a two-part question. I am a contractor. Will I need to still hire another contractor to walk through the property? And then the second part of the question is, what if I wanted to work on the property over a period of time?
Okay, and I'm glad, thank you, because I didn't specifically cover that and as I went through the process. So number one, if you are a licensed contractor, you are licensed by the state of Michigan as a residential builder, and you can provide documentation to support that, no, you are not required to have another contractor come through and provide the estimate. You can do that yourself. And secondly, the second part of the question was specifically, Moses, was, could you repeat it?
Yeah, they're asking, could they work on the property over a period of time? So I think it was in reference to the capital leakage and timeline.
Yes, we expect, I wanted you to specify that because I wanted to be clear. A period of time, yes. Within the sales process for poor or for demo property, we require that the property is brought up to code within 1 year of purchase of that property. So that's poor, demo, bringing up to code rehab work. In terms of our demolition, if it's sold for the purpose of demolition, if you purchase the property to demolish it, it must be demolished within 90 days of that purchase. So those are the two requirements. So that is if you put up a personal bond, or even if you have the surety bond, in order to get that release, we require that within 90 days for the purpose of demolition. And in terms of rehab, we would like to see, because if you seek to purchase from the land bank in the future, we want to see that you went through the process the right way, that you had gone through contacting the city to pull the adequate permits, and that the city has inspected and given a clear on those inspections once the rehab work was completed. And so once you can document that and show that to us, we definitely consider that and look at that moving forward if you seek to purchase additional properties in the future.
Does the land bank provide a list of all their poor and substandard condition properties?
On our website, www.thelandbank.org, you can search properties based on residential improved, based on vacant land. So we do, within our search category on our website, we have information available. Once you put in a property interest form, we will contact you specifically pertaining to that specific property. And no, I believe in the past, before I got here, we used to give out a list of properties, and we would print them out and make that available, but we no longer do that. So we've employed technology to list all of our properties on our website, www.thelandbank.org.
Thank you. Yes, that's before my time as well. I'd often hear, even yesterday, I got a question from someone who asked, do you guys still provide the list? And I said, no, we've discontinued that. But we, as you mentioned, the property portal in our website lists all our properties. So if you actually have address in mind or looking to just survey our properties, they are all available on our websites.
Hey, Moses, we no longer have the list, but we have the link You go to the
There
website.
we go. We're in 2020. We're in 2021. We do the link, not the list. Last comment I see is, why are the good and fair condition properties only in featured home and not through the poor and substandard protocol?
Because I think it's an easier process. It's certainly a much easier process. Most people, when they're interested in purchase a property, particularly because we promote home ownership, with respect to someone who is seeking to purchase a home for the purpose of home ownership, they want to be able to purchase it quickly. And so our featured homes are those properties that are in better condition, that require less of an investment, and that are more so move-in ready. I mean, these are, again, properties that have gone through tax foreclosure. So it's not going to be a fully rehab property that you're getting. We do have fully rehab properties that we list with realtors, but our featured properties are better condition, good condition properties, and we make those available with the intent to promote home ownership and affordable housing. And that, again, to that end, that's why we promote as well our land contract and land bank financing process through that. And as an industry standard, typically across housing industry standards, it takes about 30 to 45 days from the initial offering to final closing. And so we are pretty consistent with that industry standard across the board, even though we are not, we're not in the market as far as just, pushing properties for real estate purposes. We want to promote home ownership, affordable housing, building equity, building opportunities for members of our community, partnering with those individuals or those entities. And so with our featured homes process, we actually really push forward the needle with our mission here at the Land Bank.
That's great. I'd add, there's often multiple applications for our good and fair condition properties. So this kind of streamlines having to do various walkthroughs and actually makes it more of a fair process for everyone who's inquiring about a specific property. And so Alex, last question, does the land bank inspect the properties after they sold them to the buyer?
As far as inspecting them after they are sold?
Yeah, after they're sold.
So that's why we noted the fact that you have 1 year to complete the rehab. You have 90 days if you purchase for the purpose of demolition to complete that. And so we look at that. Did you comply with what was agreed upon the sale of this property, so that in the future we would limit the ability to purchase from us again if you did not comply. So that's very important, to go back and to make sure that proper permits were put, and to make sure that the properties were rehabbed as that was agreed upon purchasing the property.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to just close this out. We're nearing the end of our time. I do want to say, if you are a City of Flint resident or looking to do a rehab of a poor or substandard property in the City of Flint, please do check the City of Flint Department of Building Services and Permitting. You can find them on the cityoflint.com and go to the departments for the Business Services and Permitting Department. They also have tips. They have information, specifically 5 things every homeowner should know when hiring a contractor. Please, please, please review this information, because some of our properties, before we receive them, may already have building code violations or have been condemned. So we really do recommend that you have a contractor who pulls the permits correctly before beginning any work. And lastly, again, you can contact us via our general number, which is 810-257-3088. The Flint Property Portal has a contact section at the top toolbar of the website. And then our Genesee County Land Bank website, thelandbank.org, we also have a contact section at the top of our toolbar. Or you can visit our office at 452 South Saginaw in the heart of downtown Flint. All the forms that Alex had brilliantly walked us through are on the first floor, and you can learn more information about our featured home program or just in general the applications needed for residential properties. And that will be it. That will be for our time today. Thank you so much again, Alex. We really do appreciate all your hard work in teaching us how to actually go through the process successfully and what to have when pursuing these properties. So thank you everyone for your time. We hope you had a good lunch break and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.